deserve here.
Skip, he has to take the majority of the blame. He's their best player. And when your best player has picked the playoffs to have his worst game, you normally go home. We saw that 2 weeks ago, Skip, with Drew Brees. He played the worst game of the season, and he's going home. Skip, Saturday night was the very first time that I thought Lamar Jackson tried to be the MVP and not the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. We hear him talk about when they kept saying you the MVP. He says, I don't care anything about that. I'm just trying to win games. I thought he tried to be the MVP. Skip, on those 2 fourth down conversions, because they were 8-8 in the regular season with 4th and 1. Skip, he has it front side. Why would you turn around and go back? Keep it front side. The playoffs is really not the time. There's a time and a place for hero football. But that's not the time or the place. Now, me personally, I thought John Harbaugh, there's that analytics again. I would have kicked it early. Because once they got behind 14-0, Skip, it took them out of what they normally did. Skip, I still thought they could run the football. You can't ask Lamar Jackson to throw the ball 60 times, Skip, and expect to win. But I thought Lamar Jackson, that 3 weeks, Skip, he was a little high. He was a little behind.
3 weeks.
And the Andrews, where normally he hits him in the chest, that's a completion. First down, we're moving on. It's a little high. It caroms. Bayard brings it back. Lamar, excessive penalty. Now they're 15 yards closer to the goal line. But Skip, and Steve, my chief research guy who does a great job at what he does.
Oh, you've got a whole staff for
that. Don't worry about what I got. Yeah. He's really good. He's the best in the business at what he does. He's like, I didn't realize Lamar Jackson had that kind of, I said, the empty calories. I said, I don't do empty calories. I said, that's a Dak Prescott. Fall behind by all those points. Lose the ball game, but you look at the stat line and it's very impressive. I don't do empty calories. Everything about that is empty because at no point in time did you feel like the Baltimore Ravens was going to come back and win that ball game. But Lamar Jackson has to, Skip, he had an unbelievable season. He's going to win the MVP, and rightfully so. But he picked the worst time to have his worst game. And I thought for the very first time this year, I thought he tried to be the MVP, tried to show people why I'm the MVP, as opposed to just playing the position. And it cost him the game. Give Tennessee credit, because Tennessee, look, we don't care if y'all move the ball in between 20. Y'all ain't getting in the goal, y'all ain't getting in the end zone. Skip. And that boy Derrick Henry. Now, people say, well, he a problem. You say problems you can solve. That big dude right there, he an issue.
Yeah, he's an issue.
He's an issue. So now we got to troubleshoot. We got to get to the crux of how we go get this issue, so then we can problem solve. But that boy an issue. But they go to the right place now because we got the problem solver and the issue handler. 0-15 in KC.
We'll see.
I saw a very different game than you saw on Saturday night, and I first guessed this the day after John Harbaugh, that final game at Baltimore against Pittsburgh, opted to play nobody. All of his Pro Bowlers sat. I said, that is a huge mistake. I think you kind of agreed.
I did. I said, no, I wouldn't have done it.
I thought about that the whole game. I was like, Skip said this.
I've been there. That happened to us in 96.
It's a long
Jacksonville.
And then Friday, I picked the Titans to upset the Ravens at Baltimore because of the 3 weeks. It's just too long, especially for a young quarterback who was on such a hot roll.
Rhythm.
Everything he does is rhythm. The mesh point rhythm, all the quick pop passes to the tight ends. They were just a little off from the start. And he threw the first ball to Mark Andrews, and it wasn't a terrible pass. It was just a touch high. Reminded me a little bit of Dak's pass to Amari, which was a touch behind him against Green Bay, and it just tilted the whole game on its head because Amari muffed it into an interception, and so did Mark Andrews muffed it into the early interception, and it just changed the whole flow of the football game. So on a shockingly hot night in January in Baltimore, because it was like 65 degrees, the Ravens came out cold and rusty. And the Titans, off their win at New England, they came out hot and rolling from the start. And the difference is, if we just talked about the Texans, the Titans are different because they are coached by Mike Vrabel. He's a tough guy who instills mental and physical toughness in his team. And he's got the ultimate weapon right now in Derrick Henry because nobody left in this tournament has a Derrick Henry. So if you give them an inch, they will take a mile because of Derrick Henry. And so with Lamar just a little bit off all night.
That's all it takes.
And it's all it takes. But listen, I do give him some credit. You can say empty calories all you want, but when you rush 20 times for 143 yards, these are the most, you can argue, most misleading stats in the history of football. So he runs for 143, throws for 365, and they had 29 first downs to only 15 for the Titans. The Ravens were 11 of 18 on third down. What?
Skip, they ran almost 40 more plays.
And they had 4 more minutes of time of possession, to your point, and they lost 28-12. Why was that? Well, Lamar had to throw 59 passes because they were behind. That won't work.
That's not how they're built.
And Lamar had 2 interceptions, and he lost a fumble, and they failed twice on fourth down for the first time all year.
Yeah.
So that's basically the game in a nutshell. But also, has there ever been a quarterback do more damage throwing less than Ryan Tannehill? Because he did huge damage in this game. And the shocker was he throws it to 2 guys I didn't know. I didn't know Jonnu Smith because I haven't watched the Titans that much. And he makes the catch of the night over in the corner of the end zone. He's like the 3rd tight end. And who knew that he could make that catch? And then that little Khalif Raymond out of Holy Cross, undrafted. He barely played all year, caught 3 balls the whole year, and he gets loose on the and Tannehill just drops a dime on him.
Skip.
Oh, the play.
What a play.
After a turnover or change of possessions, what is the team that just got the turnover or the stop? What do they normally do? A shot play.
Yeah.
So everybody knows that except the Ravens.
I guess not.
Okay.
But who knew Khalif Raymond? I mean, you don't even know who he is.
Brandon Carr, Skip, is 3rd and goal. Why are you about the tight end, the 3rd string tight end runs the out and up? Why are you looking at the out? Who cares if he runs the out? You tackle him. It's 4th down. They kick the field goal.
Okay.
Why do you stutter? And
I don't know. And so Ryan Tannehill, the great Ryan Tannehill, he completes 7 passes in a game that they win 28-12 because 2 of them were just showstoppers.
Yes.
They wrecked the Titans with those 2 throws early in that game because if you give them that kind of a lead and cushion,
yes,
look out.
And you got to deal with that guy.
The moose who runs like a deer. That's who that guy is.
Think about it, Skip. They won 2 games, and the quarterback has yet to throw for 160 yards combined. You got to go back. They say it happened in 72, 73 with the Dolphins, and it happened again in 74 with the Steelers, where they won games in which the quarterback threw for less than 100 yards.
Okay.
But let me tell you what you got to do now. You got to get, because I don't know this to be true. I don't know. But I'm assuming. Skip, there's not a whole lot of checking going on with the Titans offense. They might check from a weak side run to a strong side.
I agree. I don't think there's much of any.
But I'll tell you what they're not doing. They're not checking from run to passes. So you've got to make Ryan Tannehill, because you know 22 can beat you. Now he's proven that, Skip, over the last month and a half of the season. He's proven he can run them to a.
Nobody in the history of this league has had 3 straight games of 180 or more, and he just did.
I mean, and think about it. His first 4 games in the playoffs, he's got 548. Now, I was on the team with TD when he was running the ball down people's throat, and I didn't think anybody was going to get that. Dude did him 30-plus better.
He did. He did.
You better make Ryan Tannehill throw this foot. Now, the mistake now, listen. Chiefs, if you get down 24 to this team, it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
To this team and this coach and that running back.
It is over.
Yep, I agree.
So you better, the best thing for you to do is try to get to a lead and make Ryan Tannehill
I agree.
Go head-to-head with my homeboy. Because if it's a running game versus Mahomes, you're going to lose.
Okay, so I hate to bring this up, but out of objectivity, it must be said. I love Lamar Jackson, but right now, going forward, the narrative is going to be all next year. Can you bring yourself back to success in a playoff game? Can you get back to a playoff game and play well in a playoff game? And it's going to hang over his head the whole year. It's all he's going to hear about, and it's going to drive him a little crazy. But he brought it on himself because that's 2 straight playoff games in which the first one a year ago, he was just pathetic in it, had a QBR of 10, scale 0 to 100, and then a 32 QBR the other night. And most people will say, well, the bulk of the blame has to go on the quarterback.
It does.
Okay, so he's going to have a long off season again.
It's the one position that everything is measured by playoff success.
It is. Yeah. It is.
They don't care. They don't care nothing about no cornerback. Well, you know, he won 3 Super Bowls or the running, but they don't care nothing about that. That guy, because as you said, he's the most important. He's the most valuable player on the team.
Oh, is he?
And you're measured. Listen, Tom Brady could have 300 regular season wins. But without those Super Bowls, he's not thought of in the same light. It's because he's had regular season success, and his playoff success has even been more.
Yeah, and I hate to say this because you'll probably be there. on Saturday night in Miami when they do the Honors
Yes.
Awards, and I'm pretty sure Lamar's going to be up there on stage getting his MVP. It slightly taints it just a little bit in people's eyes because you think, well,
Skip, you know when you got to go back 20 years? The last time you had a Super Bowl winner and an MVP in the same season, you got to go back to Kurt Warner. It used to be a common because Brett did it, TD did it, Kurt Warner did it, like in a 4-year span. You got regular season MVP and Super Bowl MVP.
True.
But since then, because Tom has tried to do it, nobody's, Peyton, nobody's been able